Hi friends, good evening. Today we're going to have live with me, attorney Alina Sheltsova. We're going to discuss big DACA news, and of course we're going to discuss updates about the travel ban. So very important updates. I'm going to go over some very important information. If you're somebody who is in DACA status, who needs to file for DACA, who had DACA and the DACA lapsed, please make sure to join us. It's going to be very informative for you. And of course, for those of you who have family members out of the United States, outside of the United States, for those of you who are not US citizens and we're planning on traveling anytime soon out and back into the United States, you probably would like to learn about this travel ban update. So please join me, say hello, let me know where you're watching from. If this is your first time, welcome. My name is Alina Sheltsova. I'm a New York immigration attorney. I've been practicing immigration law in the United States for the past 16 years. I use my social media to inform you guys about various changes in immigration law and share my tips with you and answer your guys' questions live. But if you need a confidential consultation with me, please reach out to my office 917-885-2261 or by visiting my website sheltsova.com, and you will be able to book that appointment with me personally. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and share the stream, and let's start. We're going to talk about DACA update, extremely important update with regard to new DACA applications. So the ruling from the federal court went into effect, and according to that ruling, new applications for DACA are allowed to be submitted in all 50 states in the United States. So if you have never had DACA because you didn't file on time, if you had DACA and there was a rejection of one of your renewals and then you couldn't, get DACA, if for some reason it was denied and you couldn't file for the new one, if for some reason you lapsed your status, some of you did lapse DACA status because you were working on something else or you were just not watching the deadlines and you allowed your DACA status to expire, now would be the time to refile. Because, as I said, according to the court's ruling, all 50 states will be accepting DACA applications. However, in Texas, DACA applicants will not be able to receive a work permit. That's what's happening with DACA right now. USCIS has not published any updates saying what is it that they're going to be doing according to this ruling. Maybe Trump's administration is going to come up with a new challenge to DACA. I do not know. We may find out more information over the weekend or next week. But this is where we stand right now, knowing that President Trump previously spoke in favor of DACA. I truly, truly hope that he will not change his mind and people who are eligible for DACA at least will be able to proceed with the applications. It can really save somebody from deportation, guys, if they file for DACA and if they get DACA granted. So it's a huge deal for some of you. You need to know about this, stay on top of your cases. Second thing I wanted to discuss with you is relating to the travel ban. Travel ban updates, very important. It's been in the news for some time now that the Trump administration is planning on banning citizens of certain countries from entering the United States. And so far, we get that information only from the news sources. That the administration is silent on this topic. Nevertheless, it's one of the most important things that's happening in our immigration right now. And according to the New York Times, according to the article that was published today, the Trump administration is planning on dividing countries, certain countries that they have on the list of countries, into 3 different categories: red, orange, and yellow. And citizens in the red category of countries will not be able to come into the United States at all. And if you're watching me on YouTube or Facebook, I display that list on my social media during my stream right now. You can see those countries: Afghanistan, Cuba, Venezuela, Syria, Sudan, North Korea, Libya, Iran. Are the countries. Citizens of these countries will not be able to enter the United States at all. It's completely unclear what's going to happen with people who have dual citizenship. What if they already have visas issued? What if they have green cards? We just do not know what's going to happen in that situation. Citizens of orange group of countries will be restricted from entering the United States. But according to the New York Times, it's going to be a very narrow exception. Basically, it's also a complete ban, but the exception is going to relate only to rich businessmen. Only they will be allowed to enter. And in the orange list of countries, there are countries such as Belarus, Russia, Laos, Haiti, Eritrea, Sierra Leone, South Sudan, Myanmar, and Pakistan. So we can say that citizens of those countries also will be banned from, most citizens, from coming to the United States. And according to the New York Times, they will be banned from entering the United States whether or not they have immigrant or non-immigrant visas. Non-immigrant visas, most common ones, are tourist or visitor visas and student visas. Immigrant visas, most common ones, are visas for the spouses and children of US citizens, IR visas, so-called, or CR visas, and EB1, EB2, EB3 work visas. So that's the ban that Trump's administration is planning. So not only he's attacking illegal immigration, he's also going after legal immigration now. All right? So that's what's happening with the travel ban. Now, I have to tell you this information is published by the New York Times, not by the Trump administration. However, previously we've seen numerous announcements that first were published by the media and then were confirmed by the administration. It means that if you are in the United States and you're not a US citizen, and even if you have a green card and you were planning on leaving the United States for whatever reason, try to think twice and try not to leave the United States, at least for now, until we know for sure as to what is going to happen with the travel ban, because you may not be able to come back. If you're on a student visa, for sure do not travel. All right, for sure do not travel. If you have the United States visa issued and you were delaying your travels, perhaps now it's a good time to speed up your entry to the United States. All right? So keep this in mind, please. Keep this in mind. And now, if you guys have some questions, I'll be very happy to answer them. Let me know what you would like to talk about. All right. Let me see. Hi, guys from TikTok. I hope everything is doing well. Thank you very much for your gifts and your hearts. Don't forget, please, to share this stream. Let's see. Yes, there were also reports that citizens of these countries that are on this list started receiving notices that their visas are being revoked. All right, so that's something is definitely happening with this travel ban, and probably not something that is good. All right, let's see. Hi, Sam. I got a date for my asylum interview in 2027. What if I want before? What if you would like to have an interview before that? Will you be able to do that? I'm afraid not. I know that some of you filed lawsuits in order to receive your USCIS interview. And as a result of that, you would receive these dates for the interviews in 2026 and 2027. If you receive the date, trust me, you will not be able to speed it up unless maybe your circumstances change drastically. But that's the date they gave you as a result of you pushing for your interview. Okay. Hi, can I travel to Afghanistan? I guess you can if you want to, but it's not that United States citizens cannot enter those countries. It's vice versa. It's citizens of those countries may in the nearest future be prohibited from entering the United States. Okay. Thank you very much, Sam, for your gift. Senegal, yay, thank you for joining. Hi, Kieran. When can I travel? My fiance got his visa today. So if they got their visa today, I would suggest that they use it as soon as possible. If you are sponsoring a family member, if you file that family petition, if it's a fiance petition, and your family member, fiance, received that visa, ask them to travel to the United States as soon as possible. If you recall, the last time the travel ban was installed, it happened very rapidly. People's visas were revoked. Then it was very difficult to reissue those, to have those issues, to have those visas reissued. And some people actually never came. People, for example, who received DV lottery visas and they were not able to use them because they were from one of those banned countries. They never, most of them were not able to recover from that ban. So just keep this in mind. It's a very serious situation, okay? Yes, if you guys want to come to the United States, now would be a good time uh, to do so, but provided, of course, you have the visa. Hi, Catherine. I got an appointment for my biometrics March 24th. Is it a good sign to be that fast? I wouldn't say it's any sign. It's a good thing you got the biometrics appointment, right? Because in order for your case to move forward, that's a necessary step. So absolutely go to the appointment. Do not miss it. But I wouldn't say that it's in any way an indication of the case to be granted or not if you receive your appointment for biometrics fast. All right. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Thank you. Hi, irreplaceable. I have a visa, but I'm going on vacation in June. That's what I fill in my application. All right, so you stated that you're going to be coming in June to enter the United States, but you already got the visa. Well, if you receive the visa, you can use it, all right? Your plans may change any minute. You can use that visa. That's not a problem. Yes, you can visit before then, of course. Do American citizens have a restriction on leaving the country? Sometimes. Usually it by the court's order. Some people who have warrants, people who are on probation, people who have issues with child support, usually would be people who may not be able to leave the United States. All right. Are Ukrainian visa holders safe? Ukraine is not on any of those lists, guys. So Ukrainians should be fine, at least for now, right? Unless Trump's administration is going to change something. Hi, Hayden. Hello from Mississippi. Nice to see you again. 10-year green card. Father, citizen, sponsor, total, legal, no criminal record, can visit Pakistan for 1 month. If you're from Pakistan and you have a green card, I would say that you should not be traveling right now, just not to be stuck. Okay, it's very important. If I were you guys, if you received the news that you may be your country may be on the list. And as I said, you're planning on traveling and you're not a US citizen. Even if you are a dual citizen, I would say abstain from travel. Okay? Abstain from travel because I just do not know exactly what is going to happen with all of this. Maybe what you want to do is to wait until there is a final announcement by the Trump's administration, and then we will know for sure what's going to happen with people like you. All right, if you have a green card, but you're also a citizen of one of those countries, because that will be devastating, especially to get stuck right overseas, especially if you have a job here and a family, right? Hi, Abdullah, can your N400 be denied for many traffic tickets? In fact, it can. I've seen a case like that when it was denied because the United States Immigration Services decided that because a person had like something like 27 tickets, they did not possess good moral character. They said that it demonstrated consistent disregard of the law. So, yes, unfortunately, if you have a lot of the tickets, one, two, even three, even seven, I'm not going to disqualify you unless there's something very serious tickets, almost to the level of crimes. But if you have that many, 20 something, I would suggest that you try to clear up your record, and maybe after you clean up your record, wait for 5 years before you're going to be filing for that citizenship. Okay, not to lose your chances, but again, it depends on your situation. All right. Hi Winnie, hi there. Can I travel with 551 stamp? If you are not from one of those countries that may be on the list, you can absolutely travel on 551 stamp, because that stamp serves as proof that you have legal status. Hi SP, I entered legally in 2000, asylum denied, removal order, never left, married US citizen, I'm 30 approved, sent joint motion to terminate twice a year ago, never heard back. Your TPS is pending. Well, I think you should follow up with a joint motion. If you send a joint motion to the judge, then you may have a chance that the judge may still grant that motion, despite the fact that the prosecutor is no longer agreeing to the prosecutorial discretion, right? I have not met any prosecutors who would withdraw their consent that they previously given. So you may still have a chance that the motion will be granted, right? If your TPS is pending, I guess when you get the TPS, then you can travel even if you have an outstanding order of removal, if you have a TPS or TPS granted. But the problem of the order of removal is still not going to be resolved. So why don't you do this? Once you get the TPS, try to renew your motion if this one will be denied. For now, I would suggest that you follow up with the judge and see what's happening with that motion that was previously filed. Okay? Thank you, Mr. Moto. Thank you for your gift. Thank you, Irreplaceable. All right. Thank you guys for following and sharing. Thank you very much. Can I file for VAWA while my marriage green card is pending and my wife and I separated but not divorced? Absolutely. If, of course, you meet the VAWA qualifications, that you had a real marriage and your wife was abusive, you absolutely can go for VAWA, even though your I-130 and I-45 are pending. All right, that's fine. All right. Hi, Joni Jackie. Green card holders better stop protesting in America. Well, an interesting issue. Protest by itself is not illegal. Protesting activity is allowed by the United States Constitution. So the government better not, violate constitutional rights, because if we're going to single out one group of people, green card holders who cannot exercise their constitutional rights, then we can single out another group of people, citizens, and we're going to say that those people also cannot exercise their constitutional rights whenever we don't like it. Okay? So peaceful assembly, protesting, that's your constitutional rights, freedom of speech. That cannot be taken by anyone. It's a different issue if something more than protesting is involved. You're probably referring to the case of Mahmoud Khalil right now, and the way the government is trying to justify his arrest and detention, they're saying that he sided with terrorists by distributing flyers. And those flyers had logo of the organization that is designated as terrorist in the United States. Okay? So they're trying to justify his arrest by saying that it's something more than voicing your political opinion. That's very important to understand. Now, whether or not the judge, the court, is going to accept that explanation, we're going to see. Also, if you're donating money to the organizations that are on certain lists, then for sure that activity will be considered as prohibited in the United States, and you may lose your status if you are even a green card holder. Okay? If in the course of the protests you commit crimes, but you have to be charged with crimes, then of course you may become deportable as a result of those criminal convictions. Very important to know that. That's what's happening. But I think, Johnny, if we just say that people cannot protest, we're going to remove one single most valuable attribute of the United States. That's why people come here, because there is Constitution in the United States, and Constitution is very well respected by both Democrats and Republicans. Okay? So I disagree with your statement. Hi, David. Can you explain how T-visa works? Sure. So T-visa is a visa for victims of human trafficking. It can be issued for somebody who entered the United States legally or illegally, who overstayed for a long time, or a recent entrant, who already has an order of removal or never had an order of removal. That doesn't matter. But what you need to show is that you are a victim of severe trafficking in people. And it not only can be that you were dragged through the borders forcefully. There are different, how to say, the legal definition of trafficking includes various situations, including severe labor violations and violations of your labor employment rights. If you're forced to work in the United States and you're not receiving minimum wage, or you're not paid overtime, if you're forced to work under the threat of your immigration status or lack of the status to be revealed to the authorities, you may be eligible for this T visa, but you must report the violation. It's very important. All right? T visa is not issued to you just because you must report the violation. Unlike with a U visa, the legal authorities do not have to sign a certification for the T visa. You don't have to produce it to submit your case with USCIS, but you have to show that you reported the violation. And then you can proceed with the T visa application. What's good about the T visa is that it covers more family members if you win it than U visa. And it also is much faster in terms of processing, only 8 to 9 months, unlike a U visa where you have to wait for 7 years sometimes, or 5 years to receive it. If you guys need a consultation about the T visa, please reach out to my team, 917-885-2261, and they will help you to set up that appointment, okay? Hi, Umar. I am on F1 visa. Can I travel to Pakistan during my time off? I wouldn't do it until you know what's going to happen with the travel ban. Because you may find yourself in a situation when your visa is revoked and new visa cannot be issued. You do not want to be in that situation, all right? Because then you're going to miss your studies. Hi, Bimpe, can my military son file for deferred parole for me to avoid deportation while waiting for I-130? Deferred parole, maybe parole in place? Parole in place. Usually I-130 would have to be approved for that parole in place to be filed. But I guess if there is a clear indication that it will be approved, if you'd never had issues with I-130s before, why don't you consult with an attorney and see what can be done in your situation, okay? Because also we need to take into consideration whether or not you had previously orders of removal, because then your route may be different. Hi, Salman. I want to apply for asylum and I have been here on the visitor's visa and currently on 3rd month's best time to apply. There is no best time to apply apart from you need to know you have to abide by 1 year filing deadline. Okay, other than that, you can file for asylum whenever you feel like it within that 1 year deadline. Now, you mentioned that you're on a tourist visa. So your tourist visa is most likely, tourist status rather, is most likely given to you for 6 months, right? So many people would like to apply for asylum prior to the expiration of that 6 months mark, so they don't start accumulating unlawful presence with the expiration of their B1, B2 status. So that may be a good mark for you to use when you're planning on filing for your case, okay? Thank you very much, Salman, for your gift. Thank you, Umar, for your gift. Let's see if we have more questions. Thank you guys for sharing this stream. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hi, Catherine. USCIS received my package on January 21st and got my prima facie determination March 10th. Very good. Very good. That's a good thing. Hi, Marcom. Can you still file for DACA after 2 years of expiration? I was planning on getting married, but didn't. Well, according to this news, I think you will be able to, because it seems that you previously qualified for DACA. So it's going to be, your filing is going to be considered a new filing and you should be able to do so, all right? I hope that by Monday, we're going to get clear guidelines from USCIS as to what is it that they want to do with DACA applicants, because it's so important. Well, maybe Trump's administration is going to file a new challenge in courts. We're going to see. You know that they're trying to ask United States Supreme Court to lift the ban on that birthright citizenship executive order, so it's going to go into effect. All right. High-SP motion was not filed with a judge, but it was sent to ICE to join. Well, SP, in this situation, if ICE never committed to join the motion, I'm afraid they will not do it now. All right? I'm afraid they will not do it now, unless maybe if you receive TPS and you travel on the TPS and come back. Why? Because for that specific situation, for some reason, USCIS has guidelines saying that in this specific situation, when you receive TPS, you travel on advance parole or travel document and came back, then the government attorneys may agree to reopen your case. And that was done just because there was a sunset expiration on a special settlement, but you may try to use it in your favor as well, all right? Especially if you're from one of the countries that were included in the settlement. All right. Hi, Subaru G4. How long does it take for a US citizen to file for a stepchild age 17 in the United States? All right. So first of all, it's good that the child is 17 because it means that you married the parent, biological parent, prior to the child's 18th birthday. It means that the child will be considered your immediate relative for the purposes of green card application. If everything goes well, if your child is in the United States, within a year, they should receive their green card. Okay. Thank you guys very much for sharing the stream. Thank you guys for your compliments. Thank you very much for your nice words. Hi, Agu Perez, 42B approved. That's a cancellation or removal. How long does it take to get a green card? Cancellation or removal for non-permanent residents is a very interesting application that can be filed only in courts. It takes about 3 to 5 years on average to go through the system to get it approved. But then, once it's approved, you have to wait for about 4 years currently before you're going to receive your green card. All right? And during this time, you should be able to renew your work permit. Hi, Papa. Hi, my asylum case is pending. Can I get married with a US citizen? Absolutely. You guys can marry whoever you want in the United States. The better question is if, after you marry the US citizen, can you get a green card? That's a different question. Well, that depends on your entry to the United States, whether it was legal or not. And if it was not, then you will have to choose I-601A route instead of adjustment of status. Still possible. And with I-601A route, you have to leave the United States to finalize the process. Now you may face certain obstacles like travel ban, for example, or the fact that you cannot go back to your home country from which you're requesting asylum. There are situations when US consulates may accept you as a citizen of a different country for the purposes of immigrant visa if you ask them nicely and they would agree. But that, of course, makes I-601A route just a little bit more difficult, all right? But possible. Hi, Mark. What is the easiest way to get to Ukrainian and Poland here to the United States? How do you know that person, Mark? Is it your girlfriend, boyfriend? The easiest way would be to file I-130 in Germany, personal interview, in-person filing, fastest way. Other than that, well, they may try to receive a tourist visa, but then what your plans are for this person. If you're planning on marrying them, for example, then the first option would be a better option, all right? To file I-130, emergency I-130 in the consulate overseas. I believe it is still being processed. Hi, Tariq. My CJ 360 priority date November 2022. Why visa bulletin unavailable? How long I have to wait? I do not know, sweetie, how long you will have to wait, unfortunately. That's a special immigrant juvenile status, I guess, right? We're talking about. And it's unavailable. It means that the visas were exhausted, if that's what it says. I would need to verify that, of course. And then you will have to wait for the reset of the fiscal year, which happens in October. All right. We'll see what's going to happen, though. Sit tight. The good thing that you should be able, thank you very much, Carlos, for your gift. The good thing that you should be able to get work permit at least. With this SIG approved, you are entitled to a work permit. All right. I run fast. Can being unemployed affect N400? No, not really. Listen, you don't have to work. Maybe you are a wealthy person and you have savings. You don't have to work. All right. Hi, Abid. Does the age matter between husband and wife for applying for immigration benefits? I would want to tell you that age does not matter, but unfortunately it does. So, a big age gap would serve as a red flag in a marriage based case. And it means that you guys are going to have a little bit harder time to have that green card approved, but not that it's completely impossible. All right. So it's going to be harder, but not impossible. You will just have to have very strong evidence of real marriage. Be prepared perhaps for a Stokes interview. There will be an interview in 2025, but it's not that it's impossible. Um, some couples do have big age gap, be it a woman older than a man or a man older than a woman. Of course, there is a sort of discrimination going on. If a man is older than a woman, you consider to be fine. But if a girl is older than a guy, then you may face serious challenges for some reason. I guess USCIS is very conservative in their understanding of relationship. Thank you, Sam, very much for the roses. Thank you. Very sweet of you. Yes, that was your question. 2027 asylum interview, and if you can speed it up. I would say probably not, since they already, you know. Yes, Sam, I did answer your question. It was one of the first questions. The problem is that I don't believe that they will give you an earlier date if they already gave you a date in 2027. All right. Hi, Shobi. Last year, my wife got interview date, but some medical issue. They took again medical, and I guess they asked her to redo the medical exam. That's what happened because your question got cut off. It happens sometimes. Sometimes they ask, in certain consulates, guys, it's really difficult to pass the medical exam. For example, in India, they're going to give you the hardest time. They're going to say that you have a TB and you have to appear for that exam several times. It becomes a real nightmare. But you have no choice but to comply, because what happens is this: they will force you to go back to that consulate and they will force you to go back to those doctors, all right, to get that medical done. There is no way around it, unfortunately. By nature and adventures, how much does it cost for a marriage-based green card without advance parole? I'm going to tell you the government filing fees and you could add them up because I'm not so good adding them up. So for the form I-130, one would have to pay $675. For the form I-485, one would have to pay $1,440. And for advance parole, if you opt to have that, you would have to pay $630. For the work permit, $260. Okay? So without advance parole, then you're going to save $630. That's what's going to happen. All right. Hi, God's love. Is it safe to travel home country if citizenship status was achieved through asylum? Generally speaking, it should be safe if you're entering your home country as a US citizen. All right? If you're entering as a US citizen, if you're entering using the passport of that home country, don't travel. Do not travel. Okay? Don't travel now. Very, very important. All right. Hi, bad travels. Good evening. I'm waiting for asylum interview. Can I travel domestically? Yes, you should be able to travel domestically. Hopefully you have your work permit and your ID showing that you are authorized to stay in the United States. So you should be fine. All right. You should be totally fine traveling domestically. Well, guys, thank you very much for your questions. It's been a very nice live. I hope you find the updates helpful and answering of the questions as well. So please like and share the streams. Don't forget to follow me on social media so we will meet again I hope you're all going to be safe and healthy. I hope you're going to enjoy your weekend, and we're going to see each other soon. Thank you very much, guys.